good evening, and everything in between. All right, my saucy chicken wings and donuts. We're going to start off with next week, or should I say this week, upcoming week, so Monday the 24th. Some things we're going to be taking a look at. So for this week, we're going to be starting with some skill work. We have 3 rounds, so we have 20 wall-facing handstand shoulder taps and 20 L-sit leg raises. As you're going to be seeing in the program going forward, a lot of skill work. As you can see, when you hover over this, you'll see it in Wodify as well, that it will link you to the video so you can naturally see this. The idea of a skill work, specifically today, is actively trying to learn how to get into a beautiful, nice stack position. Now, this is going to be something that, one, we can do completely. If you have, say, the ability to kick up into the wall, you can do it in terms of wall facing. You can wall walk up, you can kick up to wall. It's your choice in terms of what you feel comfortable. For those who cannot get to that position, the same thing can be done. So you do your partial wall walk, and effectively you can put your feet on the wall and do a partial wall walk and do your shoulder taps. We can also do this off a box as well. The biggest key thing here is trying to get our hips over our shoulder. Now, the big key of why this matters, if we think about it from a wall walk perspective, when your hips start to sag, it makes your life a little bit harder. It starts obviously making the mechanics a little bit hard for you to get up on the wall, but also it ends up in putting your back in a compromising position. So that's something that we need to be conscious about, as well as giving you the ability now when you start stacking, which is that getting that whole body kind of straight line, you start working on your overall strength capacity. The L-sit leg raises is learning how to actively compress more, so get that more core engagement and get a stronger position. This is going to be depending on terms of the person's capability. So a lot of us are like, how do we scale that? The movement of your hands on the ground, depending how far forward it goes or how far back is going to be a big thing on this. Ideally, you want to try and keep your hands either from just below your hips all the way to in front of you. In front of your knees being the worst, as well as bending your knees is going to help on that one. Another part to this, you can see that we have every 2 minutes for 10 sets. We've got row and burpee box jumps. This is going to be a nice, beautiful sprint type workout. It's actively getting us, one, to produce consistent tempos on the row, but also learn how to recover within that time tempo. So you can see that we've got some options here today, which is effectively ensuring that we're always keeping it under that 50 seconds. And then that burpee box jump is learning how to come off it, high heart rate, can we still explode and get that position? We should always be having roughly about 30 seconds to 45 seconds of rest in this type of workout. As you can see, plate jumps are going to be the scaling option for a lot today. On Tuesday, we have 2 cleans, 1 hang power clean. Well, we are effectively working on repeatedly create not only tension, can repeatedly create force production, but also get into position that we're actively going to a power clean, getting into that nice stopping, touch and go, coming back down, having that grip fatigue as well, and then getting to a hang power clean. So that whole hip extension, which is going to be great from the box, is being then showed again in the next day. You can see then for our second workout of the day, we're effectively getting into position where we're doing 4 rounds. Now what we're trying to work on this position, you can see it's a lot of shoulders. So we've got a single arm dumbbell overhead walking lunge. We swap once we get across one side of the gym. What we're actively doing in this type of workout is to bring ourselves to a point that we're actively working on overhead stability. So that means choosing a weight that's going to be appropriate for the person, and then getting to position that when it starts getting fatigued from both things that are going to stabilize your shoulder, which your push-ups as well, so your pecs, and if you want to think about your triceps, are all going to be worked in this position. So you can see it's basically 4 rounds of how well can we learn to stabilize and keep tight in that position. In terms of Wednesday, toes to bars. So our skill work for that is seeing roughly where we're at in terms of this. The idea in terms of not only how quick you can do this, but also you want to record the amount of sets you do. And the reason behind that is that point of progression is going to allow you to see, one, if I've done 50 toes to bar in 5 minutes, and I come and do 50 toes to bar in 3 months, and it took me 4 minutes, I've improved. Similarly, if you've improved because you took more sets, instead of taking bigger sets and failing, you've also done a good job. So this is also trying to help everybody learn some strategy. Now, obviously, toes to bar, hanging knee raises, toes to the rig are going to be options in this position as well. With Sergeant Avery Johnson, we have 21:59, 40, and 30 for double unders. This is going to be a very hard version of Diane. So Diane is 21:59 of deadlifts and handstand push-ups. Now, the strict handstand push-ups makes this a little bit harder. How we scale this is going to be very person dependent today. And that means that if strict handstand push-ups, volume, reps of down, but everything else can stay the same. If you're a person who doesn't have strict handstand push-ups, what you can now turn this into is lower volume on strict handstand push-ups, or you can use for kipping handstand push-ups. We could also do that from a pike push-up on a box. The options are there for this to be tailored to the person and your progressive level. That if we're in a position where we're like, hey, I've done seated Z press for a bit of time, I want that to change, I want a new progression, we can do pikes. So that will be a different option for there. So the biggest thing about it is actively scaling to the point of where it is. Do it going forward. You can see now, once I just scroll through, there we go. Now, Thursday we're going to be working on some bar hang point. Bar hanging position is a very good thing, not only for shoulder health, but as I like to put in there from a very medical point of view, there's a lot of associations between your grip strength and obviously adverse health issues. So a big thing about this is making sure that we bar hang. So this is going to be obviously no grips, learning to actively force control those forearms and get better and kind of open up into the shoulder, hanging through that and feeling like your shoulders being. And then our conditioning piece for this week is literally just going to be our 40 minutes. So we alternate between minute 1, our 6 shuttles runs, and then minute 2, which is max calorie machine, and then we rest. The big idea here is that we're always hitting repeatable efforts for as long as we can. And you can see that we don't want to be burning out from the beginning, but we want to be hitting that like 70 to 80% and maintaining that because we get that minute rest. And that's the key thing. A good pacing and a good strategy is going to be the best outcome here. If you decide to sell your soul in the minutes 2 to 3, I'm more than okay with that, but you need to be able to keep selling your soul. It can't be, oh, look, I'm going to do it for 1 round and then I'm done. Then we're back into strength for Friday. We have our deadlift 5x3. This is working up to a nice heavy for what you feel in the day. We're going to go from singles. If you want, you can more on touch and go. I will start specifying certain areas why I want touch and go, so you'll see that as the program goes on. So that's going to be a big thing in terms of getting ourselves into that position. And then you can see from that we have an old school classic all the way back from 2012, which is 100 thrusters for time. Now, big thing about this, and I think this is going to be the big thing for a lot of people, the weight is relatively light-ish depending on where you are. The key about this is strategy in terms of how you break it up, where you breathe in your thrusters, and keeping efficiency. If you keep to the same position, you could turn this into an EMOM, for instance, and on the max amount of reps. You can do clusters in terms of like, I'm going to do 10 reps, rest 5, 10 reps, rest 5, do that type of thing. It is a nice workout for you to test your true ultimate fitness, and that's the beauty of doing that. And then you can see when we go to our beautiful Saturday, once again, a beautiful AMRAP or box jumps, calories, devil's press, and a run. And then the beautiful part of doing You Go, I Go is that we have in a position where each partner gets built-in rest. We can see that everything on the 50s is going to make sure that we're not only working on keeping a consistent tempo, but we're also being pushed in position to be hitting posterior chain, as well as getting into position of being slightly fatigued while on runs. So that's going to give us an overview of how we're looking at the week as a whole. I think the biggest thing of skill going forward is actively finding what are the goals you're looking forward to. We are obviously working on strict pull-ups and getting that strict strength to start showing up to help everybody in the long run. And it's also setting a goal going, look, I'm going to get fitter. I'm missing conditioning, so I need to put a little bit of time into Thursdays, or I'm missing skills, so let's take a little bit more time to work through the skill work so we can pay off into the outcome. So welcome to the week overview, and I'll see you for next week.